In the tranquil and picturesque North Georgia mountains, a seemingly idyllic vacation home has been the site of countless recurring strange and terrifying incidents. Michael and Josephine Spencer began to frequent the cabin soon after Michael's parents, Paul and Eleanor Spencer, acquired it in 2011. The elder Spencers had purchased the property as a retirement getaway, drawn to its serene location and rustic charm. Little did they know that their mountain paradise would become the backdrop for a series of chilling encounters that would leave a lasting impression on their family. The one-story structure boasted a cosy living room with a stone fireplace, a large kitchen, 2 bedrooms with adjoining bathrooms, and a finished basement for storage. The cabin's exterior had also been fitted with a spacious deck that overlooked the surrounding forest, offering breathtaking views of the area. Despite its charming appearance, however, the cabin harboured shadows of a dark past that left its visitors feeling that something wasn't quite right about the property. Over the years, visitors had consistently refused to sleep in the guest bedroom, opting instead to crash on the couch or floor in the living room. When questioned about their peculiar sleeping preferences, they all seemed to share a common response: "I do not feel safe in that room." Some visitors even reported hearing the unnerving sound of someone pacing back and forth throughout the night, their footsteps echoing on the hardwood floors. One particularly disturbing incident occurred when Michael's childhood friend Tom and his girlfriend Emily stayed at the cabin in the summer of 2014. In the middle of the night, Emily's blood-curdling scream jolted Michael from his sleep. Rushing to their room, he found Emily, her face drained of colour, trembling uncontrollably. With tears streaming down her face, she insisted that if they didn't leave immediately, she and Tom would start walking the 10 miles back to the nearest town. The sheer terror in her eyes left no doubt about the graveness of her encounter. Curiously, the unsettling occurrences had not been limited to the confines of the cabin. The surrounding land, a sprawling 10-acre property, had itself too become a hotbed of paranormal activity, especially following Michael's marriage to Josephine in 2014. During one such incident in the summer of 2015, the couple were enjoying a quiet evening on the porch, while Michael grilled steaks for dinner. As Josephine began to ask when it would be ready, an unexpected sound interrupted their conversation. The unmistakable melody of "Pop Goes the Weasel," hummed by what seemed to be a little girl, filled the air. The cheerful tune, completely out of place in the secluded wilderness, sent a chill down their spines. Startled, Michael inhaled sharply, triggering a coughing fit that doubled him over. Suddenly the humming ceased, and a child's voice sternly demanded, "Stop that!" before resuming her singing. Her voice then slowly fading away as if her invisible form was rounding the corner of the house. Josephine, visibly shaken, turned to Michael and asked, "Did you hear that? Please tell me you heard that." Michael, still catching his breath, nodded in agreement, his eyes wide with disbelief. They searched the property, calling out for the child, but found no trace of her. The incident left them questioning their sanity, making them wonder what on earth they'd encountered. Perhaps the most terrifying experience at the cabin, however, occurred when Michael and Josephine planned a weekend getaway in the summer of 2017. The drive up to the mountains was filled with laughter and light-hearted chatter, their voices blending with the upbeat music on the playlist. However, the moment they arrived at the cabin, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The air outside felt heavy and oppressive, urging them to quickly unload the car and seek refuge indoors. Josephine remarked, "Something kind of feels off," her voice trembling slightly. But Michael brushed off her concerns, focused on bringing in the last of their belongings. From that point on, the couple found themselves embroiled in heated arguments, their shouting echoing all throughout the cabin. The tension between them was completely uncharacteristic of their usual loving and supportive relationship. Michael also began to experience disturbing visions and vivid images of himself standing over Josephine's lifeless body, a bloody knife or a smoking rifle in his hand. These intrusive thoughts so alien to his gentle nature, flooded his mind, tormenting him relentlessly. Considering himself to be an extraordinarily stable and rational individual, these macabre visions deeply troubled Michael. But he couldn't bring himself to share them with Josephine, fearing that she would think him insane or worse, capable of such unthinkable horrors. He grappled with the idea that the cabin itself might be influencing his mind, a notion which only amplified his distress. As the hours ticked by and the relentless onslaught of disturbing imagery took its toll on Michael, he grew increasingly desperate for relief. Exhausted and emotionally drained, he suggested that they turn in early, despite it only being 8 p.m. Josephine agreed, adding, "Yeah, but let's clean up the house so we can leave first thing tomorrow morning, and I can get out of this freaking marriage." The weight of her seething words hung in the air, both of them contemplating the possibility of their impending divorce, a prospect that would have seemed unfathomable just hours earlier. Later that night, as Michael teetered on the edge of sleep, Josephine's urgent whisper jolted him awake. She insisted that she heard the guest room door open, the sound distinct and unmistakable. Michael, attempting to rationalize the sound, played it off as the usual creaks and groans of an old house. However, moments later, Josephine's grip on his arm tightened as she pleaded, "Dude, I swear to God someone is standing right outside the door." The sheer terror etched on Josephine's face prompted Michael to retrieve his rifle, a weapon he had brought along for target practice and as a precautionary measure against wildlife. Cautiously, he cracked open the door before forcefully kicking it, hoping to startle any potential intruder. To their surprise, the hallway was empty, the silence broken only by their racing heartbeats. Venturing into the living room, Michael and Josephine were greeted by a bizarre and unsettling scene. The entertainment centre doors stood wide open, its drawers pulled out in a descending staircase pattern, as if someone had arranged them deliberately. Perplexed and unnerved, they made their way into the kitchen, only to discover every cabinet, appliance, and even the refrigerator doors gaping open, their contents exposed to the warm summer air. The eerie confrontation sent a chill down their spines, and Michael, now convinced that someone was toying with them, suggested to Josephine that they should tidy up so that they could make a hasty exit. As they worked to restore order to the cabin, a sense of urgency and dread filled the air, their movements frantic and their minds reeling with the implications of what they'd just witnessed. With their belongings hastily packed, Josephine waited in the car while Michael secured the cabin, double-checking every lock and window. As he prepared to leave, the sound of maniacal laughter emanated from within the house, its source impossible to pinpoint. The laughter, filled with malice and devoid of humanity, echoed through the empty rooms, sending Michael into a blind panic. With his heart pounding in his chest, he sprinted to the vehicle, leaping into the driver's seat and slamming the door behind him. Josephine, her eyes wide with fear, grabbed his hand as he turned the key in the ignition. The engine wore into life. They sped away from the cabin, gravel spraying beneath the tyres, as they vowed never to return to the place that had once been their sanctuary. It took a full year and relentless remarks from Josephine's father Robert, who labelled Michael a coward for his reluctance to confront his supposedly imagined fears, for the couple to muster the courage to revisit the mountain retreat. Robert was a supernatural skeptic, dismissing the couple's experiences as a product of shared hysteria. Despite the lingering unease, Michael and Josephine continued to visit the cabin, their love for each other and their shared trauma binding them to the place in ways they cannot fully articulate. Fortunately, they have not experienced any further supernatural incidents since that harrowing night.